Hello, hello, and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video. Today I'm doing a review of just a little book that someone gave us earlier this week, and that I think of this recording it's the 18th of April 2021, the time of this recording, yeah, it's just a little book sort of from 2006, I think, sort of era of the show. I'll be honest, and I hate using the word, but this kind of book made me really nostalgic for that time in Doctor Who, I suppose. What was I going to say? Yeah, and I read it back to back. I mean, it's only like 30 pages or so, or like maybe more, like 40 or 50 even, which isn't too bad, I suppose. But yeah, on the front you've just got the Daleks, Doctor Who files, and then the Doctor Who logo, like the old sort of, as I say, sort of RTD, Russell T Davies sort of logo, like sort of 9th Doctor, 10th Doctor logo. Then you've got this sort of like shape, hexagon, which it just reminds me of that era of the show, and maybe that's why I like that sort of shape, I suppose. I don't know. Then you've just got one of the Daleks from that era, and sort of this weird sort of purpley time vortex. Then you've got 3 Daleks, Doctor Who, the Daleks. Then you've got the content pages, and then you've just got, like, the text is quite big and bold and black and that, which I like, but I guess for that reason it's predominantly aimed at a younger audience, I suppose. And then there's these really nice sort of like parts where you can pull out like this page, and there's little quizzes, which they do get a little bit more challenging towards the back end, or to the sort of middle end bit, I suppose, of the book, and that. And yeah, it's kind of mad to think like this would have been that much back then. Not to say that I don't think, I think the fact that, like, what I mean is, like, I bet you a book like this, like, in the Jodie Whittaker era costs more, is what I'm getting at, and that, so. But yeah, there are some really nice glossy images. I mean, the one image that I was gushing over was probably that one, actually, like the one of the sort of Dalek Emperor ship, because I'll be honest, I was trying to think, like, have I actually seen that anywhere else? Like, I guess with Doctor Who books way back when, like, even into like the sort of early 80s and that, I suppose, or even the latter end, or like the sort of the sort of 80s Doctor Who, I suppose. In all of the old and classic series of Doctor Who, what would have been more sort of special about Doctor Who books would have been the fact that these were the only ways you could get glossy images of, like, Dalek ships, or the Dalek Emperor from Power of the Daleks or whatever, or a Dalek from Genesis of the Daleks, or Resurrection, or, do you know what I mean? Whereas, like, now, this book is kind of, for lack of a better term, and I hate saying it, irrelevant, because you can just Google image something like that, but yeah, and then you've got these, like, Dalek guard, like, Emperor Dalek guards, which have the black domes, and then these, like, special weapons at the side, or instead of the manipulator arm. I would have really liked to have seen a bigger picture of that, personally, but yeah, you even get, like, a little story at the end as well, which I wasn't really interested in reading, but, like, it's kind of cool that they went to the lengths of actually writing out, like, an actual, like, Dalek story at the back and that, and it's quite a few pages long and that, so, like, they didn't have to do that. And again, I feel like if a Doctor Who book like this was made now, like, during the Whittaker era, it would probably be not as substantial, or just kind of a bit more, for lack of a better term, like, throwaway, I suppose. I mean, I guess what you've got to take into consideration is that this is, like, Doctor Who at the height of its sort of like merchandise, and sort of like Doctor Who was still, for lack of a better term, more fresh and still felt like new, I guess, for a generation. And like, yeah, this mainly just goes over predominantly the Time War stuff, or mentions about the Time War, then Bad Wolf Pioneer Ways, and then sort of Army of Ghost Doomsday, and that's about it. And it's kind of weird how like compact it is with just those stories, and in depth about those stories. Yet also it's kind of weird because it makes me feel like what's the right word? Kind of makes me feel like it's so sort of, I don't know, like kind of weird and innocent, like how much there is now in front of all of that. Like, we've come a long way, and I think, at least, you know, there's something nice about it just being so compact and just so hyper focused on just a few little stories, whereas like there is another Dalek book which I originally thought was the book that I was going to be given, but it's like this red book, and that's like really in depth about like the 60s Daleks all the way through to maybe like these Daleks, if not further, you know, like Resolution or Revolution of the Daleks, you know, and that, which is fine, but it's just cool to have a little book that's just so sort of like specific to one certain era of the show, and like a particular sort of amount of stories, like a little snippet sort of thing. And then on the back, you've also got, like, if I can get there, like, the rest of the Doctor Who files, and that on the Dr. Rose, the Slitheen, the Sycorax, Mickey, K9, Daleks, and the Cybermen. I think, again, there's 8 of these little books, and I think I only ever really had this Dalek one, I think, way back when I was younger. So again, this, for lack of a better term, and I hate using the word, but it makes me feel rather nostalgic for that era of the show, you know, because sort of Russell T Davies, sort of 9th Doctor, 10th Doctor era, Doctor Who, I was in primary school, you know, that's how I see it, you know. So when I look at something like this, it kind of reminds me of that sort of time in my life, you know, and that, or being that young, and that, I think Smith's era just started as I was going into secondary school, so yeah, whereas, as I say, like, sort of, the 9th Doctor, the Russell T Davies era was very much, I associate with being in primary school and being that young, and so yeah, as I say, like, seeing this and flicking through it really made me nostalgic for that sort of era, and that it's just weird saying that out loud, because again, I'm not like in my 50s or 60s or something, so I shouldn't really be looking that like back. I should be looking forward. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please do feel free to comment, rate, and subscribe.